Hey, An Dagda, the dog to be with you. This is Jess Bear with jessbearchats. I hope everyone had a wonderful weekend. Happy Bealtaina and May Day to those who celebrate. I know that we did a lot of work around here protecting our home to make sure our prosperity and our butter were not taken for the growing season. So as many of you are aware, I have been talking a lot about contracts because I have been in the midst of writing a contract. Specifically, the long form of a contract with An Dagda. And in the last video, I talked a little bit about how in the past my contracts had sort of been spur of the moment or in the feeling in the moment. And I wanted to sort of expand and grow that contract that I had with An Dagda. And but I felt I needed to do a lot more work in that. And by work, I mean actually sitting down, doing the work in contacting and meeting An Dagda and actually discussing the terms of the contract, as well as writing things down, going through multiple journeys, and writing a rough draft on my computer, all with the intention of the day after Bieltana to make this contract happen. And I felt, that this was going to be a much more um, orchestrated and more thought out and planned situation. I knew how I wanted to see it happen. I knew, the steps I wanted to do to make it more ritualized and make it more, um, maybe have a feeling of officiality that the other ones didn't have. And, I come from a religious tradition before I fell into the Irish pagan path of, things having to have a ritual, having to have traditional things that were said and done in a certain way. So it solemnized the occasion, right? And also made it a binding thing. And I've also done a lot of work in understanding that when you're working with particularly the Irish guides and guardians, gods, and others, contracts are important, and what you say is important in those contracts. And I didn't want to be caught on the wrong end of a poorly worded utterance, right? So I went in and I did a lot of work in order to make this thing happen. Bealtaina Eve, I did what I had just recently learned in a class around Bealtaina as far as protecting the home because it's a liminal space and time. I went ahead and I made a May bush, which you saw. It's a video that I posted right before this one. Cute little bush of just plants that were growing nearby with some thorns in it to sort of help catch wayward or mischievous folk that might be wanting to cause some damage for me. So I also put out some water the night before. There is a particular ritual, well, not a ritual, maybe a tradition would be a better word, putting out water and having the dew from that first morning of Bealtaina be considered a healing water. And so folks would keep that and they would either drink it or save it for remedies, right? So I did all that. I put iron around. I actually did a walk of the perimeter, which was suggested by a Laura O'Brien, who is as many of you know, someone that I frequently talk a lot about because she is a amazing teacher over at the Irish Pagan School. So I did a lot of this in preparation. I made sure I didn't give anything away on Bealtaine. That was the big thing for me, and I think we kept to that. We didn't go anywhere. We didn't give anything. We did not light fires during that time, and not until sundown the following day, actually, for us, just because of time frames and stuff. Because the day after Bealtaine, I was holding a feasting hall. So on which was very different because we did it online. This was the first time we've done it, and I think it went all right. So, but that's another tale for another day. Anyway, I had a lot going on, and so I felt though that I had prepared myself and I had plans put in place, and I think I was ready to do this more solemn ritual around contracts. So we go out and we prepare to light a fire. And in our apartment complex, we have a couple of little stand, solid metal grills that people can use for barbecuing. And we decided to put the maybush um, that was completely dried, and put that on there. And the idea was we would light the mail bush, and then myself and my husband would um, do our contracts to our gods over this, right? I thought I was going to have a lot more time to do that. I learned, however, that a 2 or 3 day old dried um, bush made of dried leaves, dried flowers, cloth, and yarn is very quickly burned. So the minute we put the fire to it, it lit up and just straight up fire, just a pillar of fire. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to have a lot less time to do this than I thought. And I basically just had to say what I knew was the core of what I needed to say. Not this long flowing thing, not this very, step by step, but the real heart of the matter of what my contract with An Dagda was going to be about, what I was going to provide and what he was going to provide. And that was it. It happened so quickly, and honestly, you can't help in those situations but hear An Dagda give a laugh, and it helped me recognize that preparation is good. You need to do the work, and it was right and important for me to have these conversations with my deity in order to determine what our relationship was going to be going forward. Absolutely crucial and essential. However, for him, at least in my case, some of the frills are a little overkill and unnecessary. It was a wonderful reminder to me that with An Dagda, what's important is the work, the intention, and the drive to make it happen. So so yeah. So I felt like even though it didn't work out the way that I had hoped, the heart of it was done and said. And I'm not going to give you the particular details as quickly as they happened, but I can say for a fact that my work going forward is going to be focusing, as always, about feeding my community, feeding the people who need to be physically fed, and moving forward, need to be spiritually fed too. I am not what I consider to be an expert, but I do know that An Dagda seems to think, and a few other people, that there is something worth sharing from these videos and from my experience. So, yeah, so that was my experience in doing the contract with An Dagda. I'm still going to write the heart of the contract in the leather journal that I showed a couple of episodes ago. And I am going to move forward and do the work. So, how did everyone else's Beltana go? Were there any major things, any themes that popped up for you? I know for me, a big part of it was understanding my place and what I needed to put the work into and what to grow and what to focus on, which was a big thing. I'm very interested in hearing if you had anything like that go on for your holiday. Go ahead and send me something in the comments, or you can also send me an email at jessbearchats@gmail.com. And beyond that, oh, there was a positive note. I said a couple episodes ago that the Fresno Feasting Hall, which is something that I started about a year ago, we put on a small fundraiser for the Fresno American Indian Health Project. And this is a project that provides health care for the local indigenous folks of the unceded territory of the Yakuts, or Fresno. And we were able to raise $205, which was about 8 times, no, yeah, 8 times the amount that we were able to raise last year. So it was a huge success, but we do still have the fundraiser going until the 9th. So if you would like to participate by providing financially to an amazing group of people who are providing health care for our local indigenous folks, I will put the link down below for the Facebook fundraiser, and we'd be very happy for your donation in that. Also, I wanted to encourage people that something that's been going on for quite a while, and if you haven't heard of it, you should check it out. It's called the Live at 5. This is a community get-together with the students and the teachers of the Irish Pagan School. You sign up at the Irish Pagan School. It's totally free, and they can send you a link to the meetup. It happens at 5 o'clock Ireland time, and we get together and talk about a topic for about an hour, hour and a half every couple of days. And it's fantastic. It's an amazing community. There are so many intelligent and experienced and wise and hysterical people that come up and talk about their experiences and their resources for digging deeper into our spiritual lives. So, highly recommend, if you aren't already a part of that community, check it out. It's a really great resource. All right. I think that's it for me for now. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you all are doing well. I hope that the next time we see you, um, you are still safe, well, and well fed.